What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the JTW Sports Show. Today, we're getting right into some college football, man. This weekend was fantastic. Great weekend of college football. We had some big games, a little bit of upsets, a little bit of just absolute dominant play by some dominant teams. Hey, before we get into it, Will, TJ, how you guys doing?
I'm great. I'm ready to talk. Let's go.
Might as well. Will couldn't have said any better. Let's just get right into it.
Let's get right into it. The best way, in my opinion, to start out a college game day is Elevate Nutrition. I want to give a shout out to Elevate Nutrition. Please, Mars Hill area, use our code JTW. I know you're getting tired of us saying it, but use our code JTW. You get half off your protein shakes, $1 off your energy teas. It's a great deal for you and for me. It's awesome. Go check them out. 20 Cascade Street, Mars Hill, North Carolina. All right. Thank you, Elevate. Let's get right into it, man. This was fun. TJ, talk to me, man. What was your favorite part of this weekend?
Has to be Bama going down to move the dogs up to number one,
what?
baby.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
I said it Saturday night watching the game after we got our big win. Texas A&M wanted it more than Bama. And it was evident from the first play to the final play of the game. Bama said, you know what? They lost to Mississippi State. They lost to Arkansas, which are two teams in the SEC right now. And they went in there going, we're just going to blow the water off. Blow the – you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And Texas A&M just wanted it more, and it showed. Zach Calzada played extremely well.
He's one of our hometown boys, man.
He is one of our hometown boys. He threw 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And a win on a kick by Seth Small. It was electric. They did storm the field. It did come out today that Texas A&M was fined $100,000 for storming the field, which is less than what Kentucky was fined when they stormed the field after beating Florida.
Dude, who cares? $100,000 to beat.
I'd pay that.
I'll take it.
$100,000 to those schools is nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, very big win for Texas A&M. I think that was Alabama's trap game. I think that was we're number one. No one can beat us. It will be us and Georgia in the SEC championship, and nothing's going to stop that. And now
Georgia, Kentucky.
Looking Georgia, Kentucky. And who play this weekend? Both 6-0. So,
yeah. I mean,
what are your thoughts about the game, Will?
Bama, we talked about it. Them and Georgia look like the two teams to beat this year. And like TJ said, it was a trap game. I mean, Texas A&M's a good team. Yes, they lost a lot from last year. That obviously they're struggling a little bit at quarterback, considering they lost Kellen Mond, who's arguably the greatest quarterback in their school's history. I mean, maybe not talent-wise, but as far as a career goes. So I don't know. I think Bama they're still going to find a way into the playoff, I think. Yeah. Because I think if there's a year for them to put a 2-loss team in, it could be Bama.
I agree. I think Bama definitely is a top 4 team, talent-wise, record-wise, most likely going to be. But it says a lot. You know, the Bama defense really showed its flaws. I mean, you got Zach Calzada. He doesn't have much experience, playing college ball. He's only he's a young kid, and I think he went like 11 for 11 or 12 for 12 with 2 touchdowns, and then he threw his first incompletion was an interception. If you watch it, it's kind of a miscommunication for the most part. You don't blame the kid, but obviously with experience, you learn how to get out of those situations. But yeah, he played lights out. He ended up getting hurt a little bit, came back in, and led the team to a victory. And hey, not to mention that was the first coach under Nick Saban to end up beating Nick Saban. It was Jimbo Fisher, and he did it on his birthday. That's the coolest thing. I think that's incredible. Good for him. Good for the team. Great team win. That was awesome. Bama still in the top 5 in rankings. They deserve to be in the top 5 in rankings.
Oh yeah, I feel bad for Mississippi State.
What I was going to say is, I think that Bama could still lose the SEC championship to Georgia and get in as a 2-loss team, just because this year is crazy.
It is crazy. It just really depends on the other kind of teams that are in the race this year. You got, the number 9 overall Michigan, who, they're not really receiving much top 4 votes.
They're not they're probably not even the best team in the Big Ten, considering Iowa, who was ranked number 3, and Penn State was ranked number 4. They played this weekend. Iowa won that game 23-20. That was a great game. Came down to the end. Iowa got an interception on the last drive to seal the game. Sean Clifford
with
got
Penn State playing with their backup QB.
Yeah, Sean Clifford
looked like the worst quarterback I've ever seen play football.
I mean, Sean Clifford didn't play much better. He had 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But Big Ten games, they're gonna grind it out. That's how most Big Ten games are. I mean, you got other teams in the Big Ten like Michigan State, who's surprisingly Kenneth Walker's having an amazing season.
We'll get into Kenneth Walker later. We have a little segment for him, but keep going. Sorry.
The Big Ten is wide open as far as playoff talk. When you look at, Penn State just lost their first game. Who's to say they don't come back, run the table, and win the Big Ten?
It's very possible, and that's what's so great about college football. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much.
I think this year's the year that if there's a year to not have 2 SEC teams in the playoffs, it's this year.
In the finals, maybe even. Like, let's be real, guys. These Georgia Bulldogs, they're looking unstoppable.
It's a scary the fact that they're blowing teams out of the water, and I don't want to necessarily call Stetson Bennett a backup because he is
backup.
Sure.
Look, he's been playing like a.
He's been playing like a starter.
Okay, but you put him on any other team in the country, and he looks terrible. We saw that last year.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Chase Bryce effect.
Yeah, but I mean, Stetson almost didn't come back this year because he realized, all right, it's JT Daniels. It's not gonna be me. JT gets hurt. He's came in and win 2-3 games as a starter against an Arkansas team. Now against an Auburn team. I mean, this week they are going to play Kentucky, so I don't know if JT Daniels is going to be playing this week.
They'll wipe the floor with Kentucky once again.
That defense to me is too good to let up touchdowns like Kentucky is putting up on other people rushing wise. They have one of the best rushing defenses.
I saw something today. Guess what team has the most rushing yards against Georgia this season?
UAB.
UAB.
It's UAB. They had 153 yards.
And out of those 153 yards, I think 97 of them came after the score was 49-0.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure the team with the least amount of rush yards was Clemson. I could be wrong. Don't fact check, or I guess fact check.
I mean,
wrong.
I can look at that. I mean,
Clemson, it was either Clemson or
Clemson had 2.
Could have been Arkansas.
They had 2.
Never mind. It was Clemson.
You can't really get much worse than that.
I mean, when you have a 6'6" monster on the defensive line chasing after you, I mean, it kind of influences. But that Georgia defense has yet to allow touchdowns in the end zone.
Georgia's going to have 2 pretty good tests. I mean, they got Kentucky, like I said. I think they'll handle Kentucky, and then they got Florida. And Florida, it's always a good game.
It's always a good game.
No matter if both teams are good, both teams are bad.
I kind of have a pretty hot take. You guys ready? Jordan Davis deserves to be in the Heisman finalists.
We've talked about this off camera. We agree. It's
first time hearing about it.
It's kind of like the Aaron Donald effect. As far as like Aaron Donald, yes, Aaron Donald's a top 5 player in the league. Obviously, Jimmy thinks he's one. But he's a defensive lineman, and everybody knows Heisman. Any kind of award, they're media. It's who's in the media, who has the biggest name.
But right now in college football, who has the biggest name?
Jordan Davis.
One of the biggest names might not be a big name anymore.
Talk to me.
And I think you guys know who I'm talking about.
We already know who you're talking about.
And that is Spencer Rattler. I'm sorry to switch subjects, but I think we need to talk about this. Spencer Rattler. Honestly, I saw a take on Twitter, and I kind of agree with it. Spencer Rattler in the last 20 years is the most overrated and overhyped player in college football.
I can see it, dude. He was rated a top 3 Heisman finalist preseason.
Everyone had him having this outstanding year.
It's ridiculous. And it showed this weekend.
Yeah, I mean this week they played a good Texas team. Texas is, they're not what they used to be, but they're a solid team. He got replaced. And Caleb Williams, a freshman from Washington, came in and went 16 for 25, 212, and 2 touchdowns. Also added 4 carries, 88 yards, and a touchdown.
And one of those carries it was his touchdown run.
Yeah, it was a 66-yard touchdown.
It's a game changer. It was a 4th-and-1 run, and he made a couple moves and took off, and he made a really big play. The team needed it, confidence booster. They came back and they won a crazy game. Yeah, TJ, how they win it, T?
They won it on a little outside zone run.
I bet you, from an offensive lineman perspective,
it was really cool to see that. 10 seconds left. They ran the ball, and if you're defense, you're thinking, all right, they're taking a shot at the end zone. So I could see where they're like, as a defensive player, they're thinking pass. He takes off run. Next thing you know, game's over with a run. You don't normally see that in the final seconds of a game, especially with how far out they were. It's not like they were on the 10 or the 5. I think they were on like the
33-yard.
They were on the 33-yard line, which isn't all right. There's 10 seconds. Let's run the ball.
They probably thought, if they do run the ball, they're going to run the ball and then call timeout.
We're taking this to OT. And I was highly expecting that game to go to OT. 48-48, And, I mean, that's a high-scoring game. That was a high-scoring game, but Oklahoma won. Team's celebrating. Spencer Rattler decides, I'm going to go ahead and take it to the locker room while the rest of the team's celebrating. And he left the team. So I don't know what that shows for the future. I think that shows a lack of leadership and a lack of team camaraderie of, I got benched and I can't even support my guys that still got the win. At the end of the day, it's a team sport.
I have a question. I mean, if you're Lincoln Riley, what do you do in this situation? Obviously, there's some times when a quarterback's struggling, you bring in the backup, you finish the game out. And then the next week starters back in. But I mean, in a game,
find your backup who had 3 total touchdowns.
Yeah, and I mean, he looked clearly better than Spencer Rattler.
Spencer Rattler's been struggling all season. They almost lost to Toledo, right? It Toledo? That's what I'm saying. They've been struggling all season. I don't think they are undefeated, so you have to give them that.
Tulane, not Toledo.
That's what it was.
Yeah, he's had 1 game, or he's had 2 games over 250 passing yards, which, as the best quarterback in the nation, let's be honest, that's not very good. He has 5 interceptions on the season.
If I'm Lincoln Riley, it truly comes down to your 2 big days of practice this week. The way that he plays against the defense, the way that he, brings his team up. I think you give him starting reps at practice, but he said Caleb Williams, if he starts, if he comes in, does the same thing or even better, I think you got to give him a shot, dude. Like he changed the game. He changed your team. That's what the crowd wants now. That's what the team wants more than likely.
A lot of their fan base is giving up on Rattler, considering how he's played this season. And once they, that video came out of him walking off as the team was celebrating, we all know
wrote him off.
We all know as football players, you have a bad game. All right, coach puts a backup in or something. You still have to support your team. I mean, that it's a team game. It's not a lot.
It says a lot.
It says a lot. So, I mean, it also says a lot that they're still undefeated with all these, with the quarterback controversy they have. They're 6-0, sitting at number 4 in the poll right now.
I don't think they should be number 4, though, is the thing.
I mean, that's something we can talk about. I mean, you got the top 10 is Georgia, Iowa, Cincinnati, Oklahoma, Bama, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Oregon, and Michigan State. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Big Ten teams in the top 10, which we're usually talking about the SEC like that, not the Big Ten. But obviously those teams are going to knock each other out. I still think that so far what I've seen, Iowa is the best team in the Big Ten. But I just have a feeling somehow Ohio State's going to end up getting there.
Like usual. It's like deja vu at this point. It just happens every year. You love to be an Ohio State fan. If you're not an Ohio State fan, you hate Ohio State. That's just how it is.
I mean,
I really hope Iowa can do it.
They end the season with Michigan State and then Michigan. So,
it's 2 back-to-back teams. I mean, it's going to be a struggle. Because Michigan, Ohio State, no matter how good both teams are or how bad both teams are, that game's always a dogfight till the final whistle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you talk about Michigan State, and the first thing that really came to my mind was Heisman hopeful. You know?
I mean, we wanted to get into that. I mean, who's you guys' top 3 Heisman, because as of right now, honestly, it's got to be Kenneth Walker number one. I mean, I know he's probably not the biggest name, a Wake Forest transfer. He's got how many yards does he have on the season? He has 912 yards and 9 touchdowns on 129 carries, which is almost as many yards as he had in his first 2 years at Wake Forest combined.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a talent level. I mean, Wake Forest is thriving too. Wake Forest is undefeated, so like it's one of those things. You know,
I think he deserves the number one spot right now. Again, you're gonna have a bunch of media hype and everything, and this isn't gonna be my list that I think deserves it, but the top 3 that I think are gonna be in there, I think you're gonna have Bryce Young. I hate it. I don't want him in there, but Bryce Young, Kenneth Walker, and I can't decide between Matt Corral or Desmond Ridder.
Yeah.
I would think Corral's been on the list, but I don't like Stroud either, but Corral's okay. I like Desmond Ridder. I think he's been playing really good this year.
Matt Corral, man, he's got 1,500 yards, 12 passing touchdowns, 8 rushing touchdowns, 0 picks, completing 69% of his passes. I mean, he's having a great year, but they've already lost a game.
Yeah, but how much of that is on him necessarily?
Yeah.
If you look at it, Ole Miss's offense for the past 2 years has been one of the most explosive offenses in the SEC. That's been known. Lane Kiffin likes to run that tempo, and Matt runs that offense very well with the tempo. We saw it when they played Louisville. Bama shut them down. Bama shut that offense down completely. But if you look at it, their offense has been well. Their defense is what's lacking and what's causing them from being a good team to a great team, and why they are where they're at right now. Yeah. Honestly, he's been my Heisman front runner all year.
Yeah, and I could see him winning it in a situation where it's like a Johnny Manziel. Like, yeah, they weren't, contending for a national championship, but they were right there.
Yeah.
Manziel, once they beat Alabama that year, that was Manziel's Heisman. Like, nobody else getting it. So I think it could be that situation.
I guess it'll be Zach Calzada now then. He's plus 20,000 odds, so he could.
Yeah, I might have to hop on Bovada and bet on that. Oh.
Hey, but TJ, I mean this one kind of from a personal standpoint. How about Tyler Goodson? Running back from Iowa. He's obviously one of the best running backs in the nation. He won the number 2 team in the nation. He's been very successful. What you got? He's up there. I think he's in my top 10.
Oh, he's got to be. It's weird seeing Tyler beat Tyler. I did block for him at one point, and now we're seeing him on national television with the number 2 team in the nation. And I believe Iowa can do it. I think their offense functions well. Penn State's a very good team this year. And they both, I mean, it was a hard-hitting game, but I think every Big Ten matchup is going to be like that. If you look at it, no matter what it is, every Big Ten matchup has always been, all right, it's coming down to the wire. But watching Tyler be explosive, making linebackers miss, run through guys and get up and do it again and again and again, I think Tyler is in the top 10 for the Heisman. I don't know if he'll win it this year. I think there's a chance, but if anything, he could win it next year 100%.
The thing about running backs is you have to have a 2,000 yard, 35 touchdown season to get noticed.
It's going to be a quarterback more than likely.
It's going to be, and that's just how it is. And like Devontae Smith last year was a crazy year. He had an amazing season, so that's why he got it.
But who was second? His quarterback. That's just how it is.
And that's just how it is. Like I said, it's a media thing. That's why Jordan Davis will not win it. We as football players know Jordan Davis is probably the most valuable player in college football at this moment. You take him off that Georgia defensive line. Yes, Georgia's good, but their games are a lot closer.
The fact that he's in there for most of the snaps too. For D linemen, they rotate a lot.
He's in
there most of the time.
This guy is 6'6", 330 pounds, runs like a 4.8. I mean, let's be real. I mean,
he's a freak. Jordan Davis, you're a freak.
Jordan Davis doesn't play against Clemson. Clemson may beat Georgia.
I can see it.
I mean, it was a 10-3 game, you know, and
he had 4 sacks.
Yeah, I mean, it takes 3 people to block him sometimes.
Hey, I'm just happy where my dogs are at. You know, it's
it's a great day
nice.
to be a dog.
It's still
nice finally get up there.
We are at the midway point, but it's still early. I mean, there's still so many good matchups.
There's so much that can happen. There's so many upsets. We saw it this weekend with Bama A&M.
We're gonna see some.
Still gotta play Florida.
We're gonna see some good games this week. Oklahoma State and Texas. Oklahoma State's still undefeated at 5-0. We're Kentucky, Georgia, as we mentioned. I mean, Ole Miss and Tennessee. I mean, it's not the best matchup, but that's like I said, Ole Miss still has a chance to.
Tennessee's got a pretty good run game going this year.
Yeah, Tennessee's still got a chance. I mean, there's some decent games. Iowa kind of has a trap game against Purdue this week. Obviously, Purdue's not the best, but we all know Iowa. They've been in situations like this before where they have a really good team, and then they lose a game to a bottom of the Big Ten team. So
yeah.
I don't think this is the year they will do that, but we'll see. I mean, you know, there's a lot left to be desired in a still young and early college football season. We're going to have another video coming out on Thursday talking about NFL and, you know, how that's been going. We have a lot to talk about in there. Some big things happened this week, including, you know, one of the best quarterbacks in the league kind of struggling a little bit, but
yeah, we'll talk about it later. And then in the near future, we're going to have a big special episode with a pretty big name person. I'm sure a lot of people watching this and around the nation know who he is. So that's really exciting. We're super excited for that.
Be on the lookout for that.
Be on the lookout for that. It'll be a fun one. So thanks for watching. Thanks again to Elevate Nutrition for sponsoring this video, sponsoring us. And like, comment, subscribe.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for watching.
Later.